Welcome back to Listen and Learn English. I'm Liam, and I'm joined by Sophia. Today, we have a very special episode for our A2 and B1 learners. If you're looking to improve your listening and speaking skills naturally, you're in the right place.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited about today's topic. You know, Liam, I was at the grocery store yesterday, and I saw someone waving at me. I turned to my friend and asked, "Who is that?" It turned out to be my old primary school teacher.
That is exactly what we are talking about today. The word who. It sounds simple, right? But we use it in so many different ways. To ask questions, to describe people, and to tell stories.
Exactly. And for our listeners today, we aren't just going to give you grammar rules. We're going to talk about everyday life, from meeting neighbors to describing the person who fixed your car.
So, Sophia, let's start with the most common way we use who. We use it to ask about a person's identity.
Right. Like when the phone rings and you don't recognize the number. You might ask, "Who is calling?"
Or if you're looking at an old photo album, you might point to a person and say, "Who is the man standing next to your father?"
It's a very direct question, but we can also use it for more complex things. For example, if you are starting a new job, you might ask your boss, "Who is responsible for the marketing department?"
That's a great example. In that case, you aren't just asking for a name, you're asking about a role or a job. Who is in charge? Or who should I talk to if I have a problem?
I noticed something, Liam. Sometimes people get confused between who and what. If I see a person, I ask, "Who is that?" But if I see a dog, I ask, "What is that?"
Spot on. Who is strictly for humans. Usually. Sometimes people use who for their pets if they treat them like family, but for English learners, it's safest to remember who equals people.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. We don't just use who to ask questions. We use it to join two ideas together.
Right. Instead of saying, "I have a brother, he lives in New York," I can say, "I have a brother who lives in New York."
It makes the English sound much more natural and fluent, doesn't it? It flows better.
It really does. Think about your daily routine. Think about the people you interact with. For example, the man who delivers my mail is always very friendly.
Or, the doctor who helped me last week was very professional. In these sentences, who is acting like a bridge. It tells us which specific person we are talking about.
Let's try a little game, Sophia. I'll describe a situation using two short sentences, and you try to combine them using who.
I'm ready.
Okay. I met a woman. She knows how to speak 5 languages.
Easy. I met a woman who speaks 5 languages.
Perfect. How about this one? The baker is my neighbor. He makes the best sourdough bread.
The baker who makes the best sourdough bread is my neighbor.
You see, it's like a puzzle piece. It connects the person to the action they are doing.
Let's look at how who shows up in our daily lives. Think about your home. If you live in an apartment, you have neighbors.
Oh, definitely. I have a neighbor who plays the violin at 3 a.m. It's not very fun.
Oh no. So he is the neighbor who wakes you up. My neighbor is different. She is the person who waters my plants when I go on vacation.
That's much better. Now, let's move to the workplace. Imagine you are in an office. There is always that one person who knows where everything is.
We call that person the go-to person. The colleague who knows how to fix the printer, or the manager who organizes the holiday parties.
Exactly. And in a more complex setting, like a community meeting, you might hear someone say, "We need to find someone who is willing to lead the project."
Who is willing to lead? That's a bit more advanced because we are looking for a person with a specific quality, not just a name.
Right. Or think about famous people. We often describe them by what they did. He is the actor who won the Oscar last year. Or, she is the scientist who discovered the new star.
Liam, have you ever heard the phrase, "It's not what you know, it's who you know"?
I hear that all the time. It means that having connections and knowing the right people is sometimes more important than your skills.
Exactly. Who you know. In this case, who isn't a question or a description, it's a category of people.
Another common one is, "Guess who I saw today?"
I use that one every day. It's a great way to start a story. You're inviting the other person to guess the identity of the person you met.
And what about who knows?
Ah, that's a classic. When someone asks a question and you have no idea what the answer is, you just shrug and say, "Who knows?" It basically means nobody knows.
It's funny how who can represent nobody in that specific idiom.
Let's practice a bit more with descriptions. I want to tell you about my favorite barista at the coffee shop nearby.
Tell me about them.
Well, he is the guy who always remembers my name. He's also the one who draws little smiley faces on the coffee cups.
That's so kind. It really changes your morning when you meet someone who is that thoughtful.
It really does. Now you try, Liam. Tell me about someone who inspired you recently.
Well, I read an article about a young girl who started a charity to clean up the oceans. She is someone who isn't afraid to take action, even though she is young.
That's a perfect use of the word. You used who to describe her character and her actions.
It's also important for our listeners to know that we can use who after words like anyone, someone, or everyone.
Good point. For example, does anyone who lives here know where the mail keys are?
Or, everyone who wants to join the trip must sign the form by Friday.
Now, I don't want to get too technical, but sometimes learners get confused about the position of who in a question.
You mean the difference between who called you and who did you call?
Exactly.
That is a big one. Let's break it down simply. If the person you are asking about did the action, you just say who plus verb. For example, who ate my sandwich?
Hopefully not me.
But if the person you are asking about received the action, we usually use did or does. For example, who did you see at the party?
That's a very helpful distinction. Who ate? The person did the eating. Who did you see? You did the seeing, you saw a person.
Right. In modern English, we almost always use who for both. Some people might say, whom did you see? But honestly, Sophia, does anyone say that in daily conversation anymore?
Very rarely. Maybe in a very formal letter or a very old book. In a podcast or a chat with friends, just stick with who. It's much more natural.
Let's try to use who in a long conversation about a busy day. Sophia, tell me about your morning.
Well, I started my day by calling my sister, who lives in London. We talked about our cousin who is getting married next month.
That sounds like a lot of family talk. Did you meet anyone else?
Yes. I went to the bank and talked to the teller who helped me open my account last year. She's the one who always gives me great advice.
And did you see the man who sells the newspapers on the corner?
I did. He is the person who told me it was going to rain today. I'm glad I listened to him because I brought my umbrella.
See, who is everywhere. It's the glue that holds our stories about people together. Without it, we would just be saying short, choppy sentences.
It's also great for being specific. If I say, "Give this to the man," you might not know which man. But if I say, "Give this to the man who is wearing the red hat," it's very clear.
Exactly. It helps us identify people in a crowd. Who is the girl who is laughing so loudly? Or who is the tall man who just walked in?
I think our listeners are really getting the hang of this. It's all about practice.
Definitely. A good way to practice is to look around you right now. If you are on a bus, think about the person who is sitting across from you. If you are at home, think about the person who cooked your dinner.
Definitely. A good way to practice is to look around you right now. If you are on a bus, think about the person who is sitting across from you. If you are at home, think about the person who cooked your dinner.
I listened to a podcast host who explained grammar very clearly.
I hope that's what they are thinking.
We've covered a lot today, haven't we? From simple questions like, who are you? To complex descriptions like, the person who lives next door is the one who stole my newspaper.
We really did. And the best part is, once you start noticing who, you will hear it everywhere. In movies, in songs, and in every conversation.
It's one of the most powerful words in the English language because it focuses on what matters most, people.
Well said, Liam. Whether you're asking a question or describing a friend, Who is your best friend in English? That brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope you found these phrases and stories helpful. If you enjoyed this, please give this video a like and share it with a friend who is also learning English. To make sure you never miss an episode and to keep your learning journey consistent, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Keep practicing your small talk this week. Maybe try commenting on the weather the next time you're at the store. Keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next one. Happy learning!